Hi, I'm Charles E. Dell. Welcome to another episode of Pacific Policy Pulse. Today I'm thrilled to welcome the South Australian Premier, Peter Malinauskas. Thanks so much for joining us today, Premier.
Thank you, Charles.
So first of all, can you just tell us, from South Australia, what are you doing in Washington? What are you doing in the United States?
Charles, the AUKUS opportunity, the building of the nuclear submarines in my state, represents a Herculean economic opportunity and at the same time contributing to, I think, global security. And we're here in Washington to learn a lot about the stature of the AUKUS relationship in the context of the US political system, but more specifically, we're here to focus on workforce. We know that we've got a lot to learn in Australia about the delivery of the workforce that is required to build nuclear submarines, and that has certainly been a big emphasis of our trip.
When you talk about the scale, the Herculean scale of AUKUS, what's top of mind for you? Is it just workforce? What does South Australia have to do to make sure that AUKUS works?
Well, South Australia is home to probably the most substantial industrial base when it comes to shipbuilding anywhere in the Australian continent. And that is exclusively true when we talk about naval shipbuilding. But notwithstanding that history that we have, which is a proud one and a strong one, we know that we have to really not just scale that up, but we have to move up the ladder in terms of complexity and industrial might. And that's where we have a lot to learn from in the US. Nuclear submarines today are the most complex machines that have ever been built in human history. And we haven't built one yet in Australia. We've never built a nuclear submarine before. So the workforce that is going to be required to undertake that industrial endeavour doesn't just need to be a lot bigger. It also needs to be far more highly skilled than what we've been able to deliver in the past. Now, we are only going to be able to do that through intense collaboration on every level. The school system, the university system, the vocational education and training system, and then industrially amongst employers themselves. So the emphasis of my time here is really looking at all of those opportunities for that collaboration to deliver the desired outcome. What gives me hope, though, of course, is that it is all underpinned by a shared set of values between our countries and a understanding and an appreciation that the realisation of those values has to be underpinned by an expansion of our industrial bases, which is what we're committed to, but we want to do that from a strong position of understanding how best to achieve it in the time that we've got.
Well, on your flight here and on your flight back, I have no doubt you have a lot of briefing books that your staff has delivered you, but when you have the second to put those aside, what are you reading? We try to make sure that everyone who's watching these gets to know what our guests are reading.
So my wife recently read a book that she insisted that I should read. It's written by a US author. It's called The Anxious Generation. And it's a book that's got a bit of coverage around the place. But it essentially assesses the impact that excessive smartphone use, particularly social media use, is happening on a whole generation of young global citizens. And there are some worrying findings that come out of that I think demands a more urgent political response and a policy response from those of us who are entrusted with powers that at their heart it should always be about keeping kids safe. So that's what I'm reading at the moment, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, really sobering reading on that. But thank you so much for taking the time to visit us, and best of luck with the rest of the trip.
Thank you so much. Cheers.